Hello everyone, Attack Power here with another deck building video here with first SS Panzer LaSalle. Let's dive right in here to this one of, if not the strongest divisions to come out of the new Normandy, Tribute to Normandy DLC here, first SS Panzer. This division is extremely well-rounded. It's got almost every tool you could want for dealing with any sort of problem. There's really nothing you run into where you're just like, crap, I have no way to deal with this. It's a very strong division overall. Now, would I put this in like S tier? No, it's still expensive. Like, it's still a very high cost division that can be out efficiencyed pretty well in terms of like infantry trays and things like that. You know, you don't have very much light armor at all, so it can be tough in tight spots. When you're working in towns and things like Hadoshie and things like that, you really just don't have a lot of great tools on that sort of map. In terms of super heavy AT, you could run into some issues with IS-2s and stuff, but there are answers in the deck, so it's not like you're totally screwed from that perspective. So yeah, there are a few things about the division that aren't super powerful. And again, you're basically working with all 30-point plus infantry for the most part, a couple of 25-point infantry, which are very good. But yeah, again, you're just kind of on the expensive side of things. And from time to time, it can be tough to trade efficiently. But other than that, and again, those are stretches, but I don't think the division is S tier, as in it's doing something way above the curve of power in the game. It's just doing a lot of good things slightly better than you normally would, is basically what this division is. It's all kinds of normal Panzer division things, but just a little bit better. And the thing is, Panzer divisions are very solid. So when you make everything in it just a little bit better, all of a sudden it's a really strong division. Again, I wouldn't call it S tier, but it's very high. I do think this is one of the stronger divisions in the game right now. Let's dive right into this. We are playing it balanced. Remember, I'm building this for like an hour-long balanced game in the queue. That is legitimately what I'm building it for. If you don't think you're going that deep or you're playing a 50-minute tournament game, I would definitely alter some vetting and things like that to bring a little bit more powerful stuff early, have a little bit less, that's fine, but go from there. So, recon tab-wise here, we have both cards of the Aufklärer Panzergren LaSalle here. It's a 6-man team with double MG42 and a Panzerfaust and Fanatical. I mean, it can fight. I've actually used this unit quite aggressively, and it holds its own pretty well. You know, it's got 4 G43s too. Like, in terms of actual damage output, for a 6-man squad, it's quite high. Now, of course, you do not want this in CQC at all. But, I mean, having the double MG42 and stuff, this is a nice support unit for your other infantry. I do not mind this one getting into fights. Now, you still got to be careful. I mean, you have 9 of them, so it's a fair number. But, you know, you got to be careful they don't all get chewed up without you paying attention to it. The SDKZ does also have recon as well. So that's a nice little bonus on that package there. I think it comes in with nothing else. Yeah, just the SDKZ. So you two technically get 2 recons for 1. Now, this thing also has very high optics. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this half-track in terms of a recon unit. It's just harder to hide it because it can only hide in yellow forest. So yeah, really solid unit to start off. We are taking A and B. We want plenty of those infantry recon. And then we have the Pumas. SPW 234/2 Puma. These are phenomenal. I don't really want to go all the way down to 3 on the double vet. I think they're quite efficient at 1 vet, and having 5 is nice since this is like all your light armor. And this is also, for me personally, the way I'm getting through annoying like half tracks and stuff in A phase. I'm actually putting my Panzerschrecks in B phase for a longer time to have those, and a lot of my infantry later in the game has no AT, so having lots of Panzerschrecks is important for me in this kind of build. We're not taking the BMW, of course. The Aufklärer LaSalle, definitely an option, but it doesn't come with any special vehicles or anything, so it's hard to say. I have a hard time taking, like, I would still take it with a vehicle. I would take it with this Kubel MG so that it has a vehicle that can also spot. For 5 points, you know, it's hard to pass it up. But for 10 points more, I get a unit that can legitimately fight, and that's really helpful. Is a lot more survivable because it is 6-man. Like, I could put this on return fire. It still has exceptional stealth, so technically speaking, it can hide just as well as this guy. You know, if you really don't want him fighting, put on return fire, and he actually has a little bit of survivability if he does get spotted. So that's the argument there. Spad Troop LaSalle. Why would you ever take this? I just truly don't understand. I see so few divisions where this would ever be a necessary unit to take. Aufklärer Panzer 4. It's using up a slot you really need for other stuff. Panzer 4 Recon's nice. It's not as bad, but you have plenty of Panzer 4s in the tank tab, so why waste up a Recon tab on it? Same thing with the Panther D. You got plenty of Panthers in the tank tab, and the recon tab is quite limited. Like you only have 4 slots, and they shoot right up to 2 points basically right away. So I don't see any reason to be overspending for some recon on your tanks, which you probably are going to have infantry around anyway because you don't want them by themselves. So yeah, that's the build here. I don't think there's a lot of other ways to go out this recon tab. Infantry wise, though, we have some really neat infantry in this division, to be sure. And this is, I think, what makes this division that much better than a lot of other Panzer divisions. So first off, the Pioneer, and this actually is discipline. Something to be aware of. The LaSalle leader here has discipline, which is a nice buff for these Volkdeutsche here that we have in A phase. Then we have 2 cards of Volkdeutsche. Now that we mentioned that, Volkdeutsche are great. I mean, they are a cheap Panzer Grenadier MG34. Which is really strong with an AT, like with Panzerfaust. I mean, truly, they are actually a very strong unit. The Disheartened is annoying, but if you have a leader around now, they have the discipline and veterancy, so they're going up to 2 vet. I'm bringing 2 cards here in A phase. I did kick around bringing some in B phase, but I don't know. I find the other Panzergren units here so strong that it's worth spending 5 more points to get the extra power of them. But I would definitely not say anyone was wrong for like bringing a B-face card of Volkdeutsche, but the main reason I would be bringing them is actually just for like the Panzerfaust, not really even for the cheaper cost. But I could totally see that being an argument. Yes, all your units here are 30 points after this point, which can definitely be a little shaky, a little scary. A phase, then I'm bringing both cards of the Panzer Pioneer LaSalle here, which are phenomenal. I mean, they are a Pioneer unit with 2 MG42s. You can't ask for much more here, honestly. And now that I figured out the whole trick with, so basically how it works, you can, there's kind of a rock, paper, scissors shoots when it comes to CQC, right? You have Flamer units are, truthfully, like, they are the strongest in a vacuum. Like, Flamer units in the woods are technically the strongest unit in a vacuum there is. Because technically they should beat Pioneer units, especially if they're high vet. If you have them at 3 vet, they can actually keep flaming, and the unit can almost never stop to throw the grenade, which can be a big issue. And there's just 2 Flamers, and they basically will never get the grenade off. Pioneers beat like assault squads that are just full of submachine guns, and submachine guns, assault squads just full of submachine guns can do all right against Flamer squads because they just overwhelm them with firepower. Essentially, you can just kind of wipe the Flamer squad out before the effect of the flames really takes a lot of damage against the unit. So that's the kind of like very shaky rock, paper, scissors shoot going on. Again, and that's not like a definite thing. It's just kind of how it is. But you can break that power balance by essentially taking your Pioneer units, your grenade tossing units, and using the attack ground order. If you use the attack ground order, the unit will no longer move when it gets hit by flames, which is totally crap. I don't really understand why it's possible to game the game like that, but it can be done. And I don't hate it. It's gamey, but the fact is it's kind of rewarding you if you're taking the time to micro your CQC fights. You are being rewarded for that extra micro. So from that perspective, I think it's cool. From a in-game perspective, it makes no sense because your dudes are literally standing on fire, so they should be moving. But the fact is they don't. So if you can take the micro time to actually do attack ground position on the enemy unit, a Flamer unit, you can win fights with Pioneer units very consistently against Flamer units, like very, very consistently. So it really throws the whole balance on its head in terms of fights, and all of a sudden Pioneers become good units, which is why we see 2 here in A phase. The other reason is your other CQC unit, your like main one here, the Panzer Sturm Pioneer LaSalle here, can't come in till B phase. So you are kind of forced to put your other CQC units here in A phase. And I love these units. I mean, this is just a regular Panzergren as well. It's really, truthfully, when you look at it, it's a Panzergren unit with a grenade. That's what it really, truly is. It's a Panzergren unit that happens to toss a grenade. Very good unit here. B phase, like I said, we have the Sturm Pioneer unit. Now, this unit is good. It is an extremely good mid-range unit. Is it actually great in the woods? No. It is okay in the woods. And that is it. It is okay in the woods. It's not the worst thing you've ever thrown in a green forest, but it's certainly not the best thing. Is this unit good, though? Absolutely, yes. It has a double MG42. We all know how strong that is in game. It has MP44, so if you're in Yellow Forest, these guys are the absolute shredders and dicers of Yellow Forest. Now, the Flamer, the MP44s are not the best unit, best gun at Green Forest. Are they better than a rifle? Significantly so, yes. But they're going to lose to dedicated CQC squads pretty much across the board. So just be aware that this unit will lose to like truly CQC units. This thing will not be able to beat. but it will beat up any kind of rifle squad in the woods. They are still very good, and working around forest with them does feel great. Again, these MP44s can do a ton of damage. The fact that they have some flexibility with their MG42 to reach out a little bit is awesome. They also have the smoke, so you can get up close if you really want them to be in. They have to come in the SDKFZs, just something to be aware of. So they are slow to get to the front line. Now, the unit I like the most here is the Panzergren Lissau motorized. I believe that's the MOT would be motorized. This unit is an 11-man squad with 4 K98s, 5 G43s, and 2 MG42s. So basically, all intents and purposes, an upgraded Panzergren. They have no AT. This is important to note. They do not have a Panzerfaust, but they output more damage than an average Panzergren squad by a fair bit, honestly. Like, when you look at the numbers here, you know, if this was just 5 more, so it'd be 0.5, you're getting 0.25 more damage out of the G43s. They also, and that's not just the damage. Remember, there's an increase in fire rate here too. That's pretty significant. And all this compounds into a unit that puts out a fair bit more damage than your average Panzergren. Now, the choice comes down here between the Panzergren Lissau Gep. I'm trying to think what that means. Gepard? No, probably not. I'm not 100% sure. Gep or the Panzergren Lissau. Now, the Gep variant has Fanatical, and it has a Panzerfaust, right? The MP40 is useless. That's a waste of a unit. That's a waste of a gun, honestly. So it's a Panzerfaust and the Fanatical versus the extra men, the 2 extra men. Now, the other problem with the Gep unit is that you have 2 less guys on top of it. So it's an 8-man squad versus an 11-man squad, and they just die. Like, they don't hold up. 8-man squads just don't hold up super well against 10 and 12-man normal rifle squads. So that's why I'm taking the motorized ones instead. Yes, it leaves you a little bit lacking on AT infantry. Like, just the fact that your infantry aren't all carting around a Panzerfaust can be annoying at times. But it's definitely worth the trade-off of getting a squad that is 3 men bigger, just outputs more damage, like just straight up more damage at range by a mile. And it's just, in my opinion, better unit. So yeah, that's why we're not taking these Fanatical units. The Fanatical is nice, but again, just not worth having a unit that's just all around so much weaker than this one. The unit I'm not taking, the SS Sturm Grenadier. I got a lot of people questioning why I don't take these guys. These guys, for me, fall in that problematic area of they're really good at one specific range, and that's it. When you get into the MG42 only range, then they're just not. Yes, it's still okay, but there's so many better options in the division that I don't want to use up a slot on these guys. Like, that's what it comes down to. Like, grenades are just better at CQC than the MP44s. And then every other unit in the deck has double MG somethings. So it becomes this unit that falls into this crack. And again, you have these guys which kind of do the same thing as these Sturm Grenadiers, but do it better because they have a flamethrower instead. So yeah, and also the availability curve on these guys sucks nuts. Like, this is a bad availability curve. Like, that's not good. Like, only getting 4 of these, like, that sucks. That's why I'm not saying it. I don't think they're bad. I'm not saying they're bad. It's just, for me, they fall in this really odd gray area. And in this division specific, like, I would take these guys in other divisions, but in this division specifically, you have other units that fulfill the same role and just do it better. So I don't see the reason for having this. I guess if you really want a unit that is essentially 8 men in a forest, I guess, but an AVTO unit beats that. Like, a normal AVTO unit should beat this in the woods. So yeah, that's my argument on that. And that's it. Yeah, that's the infantry tab. But it is very strong here. I am bringing these 2 in C. If you're building this for like a 50-minute time limit, I would probably consider, like, maybe double vetting both of the Sturm Pios and putting them both in B, then vetting this Panzergren, maybe something like that, and over vetting a little bit more. Tank tab. I mean, this is kind of just a standard Panzer tank tab. It's still good. It is good, but there's nothing here to get too excited about. Panzer IVJs in A and B, they are 10 points less than the Panzer IV-H. The difference here is turret turn speed. So you might be wondering what these stats are literally identical. They are. But the Panzer IV-J has a significantly slower turret turn speed than the Panzer IV-H. And yes, it does come up. It will bone you at some point. But it is 10 points less, and you can't undervalue a thing costing 10 points less. That's a lot of points. That is a significant difference in cost. So I've resigned to myself that from time to time I'm going to get totally screwed by the Panzer IVJ's excruciatingly slow turn speed. That just is what it is. But if you don't want that, then take another card of Panzer IVHs instead. They also, technically, Panzer IVH has a better availability curve here as well, in B phase specifically. What about C phase? Oh, no, it's got... Well, that's weird. So the Panzer IVJ is worse in B phase, but better in C phase? That is really odd. I'm going to have to ask Strike Team about that. It's just like a weird bet curve. It's just a very strange math. I'm not sure how the math works out on that one. But anyway, so A and B for that. A phase, a single Panther A here, leader. Honestly, in a balanced deck in A phase, you should not be spending more than, like, 2 Panthers maximum in A phase, and really 1 should be sufficient not most of the time. B phase, then we have another card of Panthers, and C phase and none. Notice they're all 1 vet. I find Panthers to be just depressingly bad at hitting things, so when they are unvetted completely, I mean, good luck. Good luck landing a hit. You know attack power is luck, though. I will never hit anything. You might. Go for it. I mean, getting 8 in C is nice, having lots of them, but if you're burning through more than 7 Panthers in a game, I can't imagine things are going very well for you. I don't know. I just can't see. I can't imagine you're winning if you're burning through 7 Panthers. But hey, if you want more, unvet the C phase one. You want to survive B phase. You're not going to call that many in B phase, so keep that vetted. And then we have the Shug 3 card. You only get 1 of them. Oh, no, you get 2. Interesting. Why did I... I'd like the Panzer IVs in towns and stuff, I guess. Yeah, but then if I don't... I'm really struggling on my choices here. Technically, if I'm using these in towns, I should be using the Panzer IV because it has a faster turret turn speed. Interesting. Interesting. The Panzer IVJ is just so cost efficient, though, comparatively to the Panzer IVH. I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. I can't believe I'm taking a Panzer IV. Well, the Panzer IV is just a better support tank. That's the thing. The double MG is much better than the single, and having the turret is much more helpful than not having the turret. I remember the days where I hated Panzer IVs. What has become of me? How have I been infected into liking the Panzer IV more than the Stug? Interesting. We're going to leave it alone because it's the choices I made, but I could 100% see slotting in the Stug 3 instead. I would judge no one, and it would make sense. Again, I just like the extra support. I don't know why. And I just find them easier to get on target and stuff. I get boned by Stug 3s facing the wrong way really often. It's very annoying. So anyway, yeah. And why am I not taking the Panther G? Because it has lower availability, and it costs 5 points more. Do you see it? Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference, commenters? Who are constantly telling me how great the Panther G is. It's not. Alright, it's worse. I've used the APCR, I think, once in my entire history playing this game. It's not that great. And you have a better answer to the IS-2. There is a better answer in this deck than the IS-2. So much better than throwing your Panther G within 1,500 meter range and getting it one-shotted. There's so many better ways to deal with that problem than this. Continue on, support tab. Phenomenal. This is a phenomenal support tab. My God, is it great. Taking our Flammenwerfers, we have MG42s. Then we have the IG-33 here. A-phase locked. Can't get it anywhere else. Lovely. Commandant, Opel Blitz, and the Grilla. The glorious Grilla here in B for all the 2K power. Now, things I wish I could have. IG-18s, you can get 2 cards of those. I'd love to get more MG42s, but I just can't find the room. Arguable to take out the Opel Blitz, but the problem is we do have mortars, and the ammo we're bringing in for our Nebelwerfers is for our Nebelwerfers. That is what it's for. It's really not for the mortars, which is why I'm bringing these. But, I mean, I guess you could be talk me out of it. I don't know. Whatever. Everything else, though, I don't feel like I can give up. You got to get to the front line at the beginning. That's what makes Flammenwerfer so important. It's hard not to have MG42s. Honestly, that's what I would slot out for IG-18s if I really had to. But it's still nice to have the MG42. I mean, I guess you could take out the IG-33. I suppose. I suppose you could. Bring in the IG-18s instead if you want something cheaper. But I feel like if I'm bringing IG-18s, I could just bring in IG-33s instead. I don't know. I use IG-18s way more aggressively, though, just because of their cost. But obviously, the IG-33 is a much more, like, delete button kind of unit. I love having 2K HE. I'm sorry, I just do. AT tab, nothing to write home here. We have the Pack 38, Heart, love it. I talked about the Panzerschreck earlier. It's bringing in B phase because my later infantry have no AT, so I need a lot of these to actually survive. A phase you can survive with the Puma. I just don't see the point of restricting yourself to only 4 when you could generally get through A phase all right without them. And I don't know many people are bringing a Panzerschreck in the deployment kind of thing. So I'd prefer to just figure it out and survive till B phase, and then I get 8 of them. And at least in my opinion, most of the time Panzerschrecks are suicide units half the time anyway. You get them, they walk up, they kill the tank, everyone sees it, they get shot, and that's the end of them. So that's why I feel like having more is super helpful. Pack 40 in B phase, there you go. I don't think you need more Pack 40, he's got plenty of tanks. AA tab, phenomenal. Yeah, great AA tab here. SDK of Z72, underwhelming, but it's an AA piece. It gets the job done, sort of. In conjunction with the other stuff, it's great. SDK of Z71 is an SDK of Z. It's obviously very good. And then we're bringing the flak feeling in B phase. Things we're not taking, 20 mil, 20 mil, 20 mil, another flak 36 that doesn't move as much as the SDK of Z moving one, and then we have the good old 88. Makes me sad. Pretty straightforward. These kill planes for real. This kind of helps keep them away. Easy peasy. Arty tab. This is a phenomenal Arty tab that we are basically doing a one-dimensional thing with. We have the 81mm mortar. These are still great. Hard to pass up on these. I have a hard time telling people not to take this. Battery Führer, we need some extra liters. And then we have the new mighty Nebelwerfer 210mm. These are phenomenal. These are your answers to the IS-2s and King Tigers of the universe that you rarely see in 1v1 anyway. Okay, this is your answer right there. Now, other things we're not taking because these are just so good, it's hard not to take them all. Why would you take this mortar over a radio mortar? The Nebel 150. Now, y'all know I love Nebel 150s, but the problem with this Nebel 150 is it comes in with no ammo. And that sucks. That sucks hard. Now, you could, though, use the ammo in the support tab to support these. That is an option. So if you really wanted more Nebelwerfers in your life, then by all means, let's really quick compare these. It's 10 damage versus 7.5. Now, it's 6 rockets versus 5. So let's do the math here. We have 50 damage on the 210, and we have noticeably less, actually, right? So 42, 6, 45. So we have 45 damage in total on the Nebel 150 and 50 on the Nebel 210. Nebel 210 obviously has more suppression and more blast as well. Same distance. Technically, the Nebel 210 fires slower, but the difference becomes pretty negligible at the end of the day. I mean, the 210 does just seem better. Now, it is 25 points more. That definitely matters. You're now spending 125 instead of this would normally be like 100 for the Nebel with its ammo. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to squeeze this in, I'm not sure what you'd take out. I guess you could go down to only 6 pieces of AA. That's a little ballsy, but, it's possible. It's an option. Or you could take one of the 210s out to get more 150s, I suppose. But, yeah, so, I mean, I love my 150s, too. Don't get me wrong, but I think the 210s are just better. 105's horrible. We're one of the worst arty pieces in the game. Vespa, along the same lines of terrible. SKT 105, love to take these when I got room for them. No room here. I just want all the Nebels. This is the problem with this. Literally, there's a 15-point difference for 15 rounds. That's it. That's the difference. So if you want to have to bring in ammo for this right away, this is the one you bring. If you want to get all through A phase with this one, this is the one you bring. Then we have the 150 arty piece. I mean, it's a 150. It's good. It does the job. I would prefer to just insta-kill stuff with the Nebelwerfer. And then we have the Hummel, which is trash. Wouldn't use this. Even with the price buff to it, just wouldn't take it. I would take these instead. So yeah, a very good arty tab. I mean, this is just phenomenal. I wish it was cheaper and you could get more. Air tab, terrible. But honestly, if I had to pick a tab to be terrible in a deck, it would be the air tab. You can 100% get along with no air. And honestly, what you have here is actually quite good. You have Focke-Wulf 190, A8. I mean, this is just a great fighter. One of the Axis best. It gets the job done consistently and does it well. What we're not taking, Recon, because the air tab is extremely expensive, so I'm not spending those points on air recon, air recon is good. It's not a need, right? It's just not something we need to have. It's something that's nice to have. It is not a necessity, and it's not worth 3 points of necessity. Focke-Wulf G3R1, I don't know why the heck you would ever take this over a Focke-Wulf 88. I literally cannot fathom why. It does a little bit more damage, but it is 60 kilometers an hour slower, has bad resilience, and it's just worse. I cannot fathom it. And it has lower availability. It's just so bad in comparison. Ju-88, terrible bomb loadout, would not use. Focke-Wulf 190 F8, absolutely would use. This is a great bomber for ground attack, medium resilience, good bomb loadout, gets the job done, has a pretty good loadout here that you actually could shoot down a plane too. Availability is not great, price is kind of expensive, but it's not a bad fighter bomber at all. So, yeah, many people have already realized. 1st Panzer, very strong. I would probably put this as one of the best Panzer divisions pretty solidly. It's right up there. This is better than 20th Panzer. I would definitely put it better than 20th Panzer. 26th Panzer, close. These two are neck and neck. I like this one better. I just personally struggle with 26th Panzer. I don't know why. I've never been able to make that deck work for me. But I think this is probably the best Panzer division. I'm sure I'm forgetting one, and everyone's going to hop on me for forgetting some obvious really good Panzer division. But I think this is the one. I do. I like 9th Panzer too. I really like 9th Panzer out of the new Tribute to Normandy as well, as you know. I really like that division, but I think this one is more well-rounded and is a stronger, like, I don't know what I'm going up against pick. I would pick this one. If you guys enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe, consider checking out the Patreon link down below. Make sure to go check out attackpowergaming.com. Cool blogs, information, and stuff going on there all the time. Thanks a bunch, guys, and have a fantastic day.